Good morning, KU. I'm Avalon.
And I'm Rebekka.
And we are your hosts on Tuesday morning.
So Avalon, how was your weekend?
It was good. I went to the KU game. Well, I didn't actually go. I tailgated for the KU game.
So
and
you
we
were
won.
outside.
So that was awesome. Yeah, I was outside. So that counts.
That's good. Awesome.
What did you do?
I went to a powwow this weekend, and it was my tribe's powwow, and I worked a lot.
Oh,
it was
wow.
fun. Yeah, I got to see all my
what kind
friends
of
and
things
family.
do you do
Well, we were running the registration booth, me and my family were.
there? Okay.
Yeah, so we
Fun.
were registering all the dancers, and we
Right.
pay everybody that dances to you.
Cool.
which is
I've
really
always
cool.
wanted to go to one of those.
You should come
Do
sometime.
they happen in Lawrence ever?
Haskell has one about every 4 months.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. I will make it.
The next one will
definitely.
probably be around Veterans Day, I'm guessing. Yeah,
Oh,
that'd
that's
be good.
exciting.
And it's open and free to the public usually, all the time.
Right. Oh, cool. Well, I'll have to catch the next one for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
So-
as we all know, we received an email yesterday from our chancellor about David Guth, the professor that just recently went on leave due to a controversial tweet about the DC shootings. Very sad.
Yeah,
So-
he was going to be my professor this week as a
Was he?
substitute in First Amendment class
Oh,
in
wow.
our journalism
Oh, my
school.
goodness.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, I
interesting.
actually know the professor that is going to take over for his campaigns class, and she's great, so they're in good hands.
That's
They're
good.
Definitely. It's definitely a tricky situation here, because he is practicing his right, like his First Amendment speech, to speak what he
There
wants.
is.
So.
And I read a story this morning that said one of the Kansas legislators want him kicked out of KU, basically,
Wow.
because
Oh
of
my
it.
goodness.
Yeah, unfortunately.
See, there's so many different sides of it. There's the students that are being affected, the faculty, the donors. It's a lot for the school to deal with. Big situation.
Yeah, I don't think he really wanted people to
Yeah,
die or anything. It's
no.
just one of those
It definitely
things.
got a lot out of context.
Yeah, it got blown up.
Taken
and-
literally, and I definitely do not think he wants children to die.
And I'm interested to see if this will be a pretext for upcoming professor tweets, and to see how
Definitely.
this is definitely going to set a precedent.
We'll
so
see what the future
this
holds.
will be interesting.
On a lighter note, Juicy J is offering a $50,000 twerking scholarship
That's
for
right.
students to go to college. Can't believe that.
Yeah, I don't know what I think about this. I mean, we were just saying a couple weeks ago how twerking is blowing up, and
Right.
it is really blowing up.
Really blowing up.
I mean, with the scholarship, it's brains over. I mean, it's booty over brains.
Yeah, I mean, I can't twerk. I mean, for $50,000, if I could, I would definitely try, but I don't know.
Yeah, I can't either. I wouldn't even try.
So
It would be a nightmare.
if students have any videos, feel free to send them in, and we
Yeah.
will play them.
That would be interesting, and I'm sure that some of our KU students will be trying for the scholarship as well.
Right.
I mean, and I hope we win because we win everything.
Obviously, we can have twerking Tuesdays. and we
Twerking
can just-
Tuesdays, yes.
Have you actually ever tried twerking?
I've never tried.
I've
no.
never tried it.
After watching the girl fall into the fire,
Oh my
after trying, I
goodness.
was like, it's not for me.
Honestly, not for me.
No.
I can't even dance, so twerking
Yeah,
is
I
just
can't either.
a little too far for me. Going too far. And
Yeah,
I guess Miley and Liam officially broke up.
That's right.
So it's about time.
yeah, and you said she was crying, right?
Yes,
Not
she
too
was
long
actually
ago.
crying when she was performing in Las Vegas. She was crying when she was singing The Wrecking Ball, and I think that's about him. So.
Yeah, sounds like he just came in and wrecked her heart.
Oh.
Oh.
Even like a wrecking ball. Poor
Oh.
Miley.
Yeah.
I actually think that they broke up a long time ago, but
We're keeping
it's
it a
just coming out
secret.
in the media now, which
Yeah.
makes sense.
It usually happens. Well, we also have the sleeping pill issue at hand,
Oh my
and
goodness.
apparently it's been a rise in the past couple years. More and more students are taking sleeping pills, which is interesting because it's usually stories about Adderall.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's both. Kind of, you take Adderall to get through the day, and you take a sleeping
I mean,
pill
how else
to
are
go
you
to
gonna
sleep,
sleep?
which is horrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yes. Well,
so,
I guess
do you know any people taking sleeping pills?
not off the top of my head. No, I don't think so. Or anybody that takes Adderall, actually.
Right.
But
I mean, I know it's true. I feel like personally I'm always tired, but I can never get to sleep when it's actually time to go to bed.
yeah.
Like, I just don't know.
See, I'm the
why.
opposite, and I could just fall asleep like that.
I'm
It's
so
weird.
jealous. I
Yeah.
just lay there and I'm like, ah. waiting to go to sleep. But in class, I can fall asleep in 2 seconds.
Oh yeah, well, they should have lectures that put you to sleep. Forget the insomnia pills. We need
Right.
lectures.
We need at-home lectures that help you go
Yes.
to sleep at night.
Let's see,
Way better than sleeping pills.
We need a really boring topic, though.
I know. Well, a lot of people to go to sleep, they listen to like TED Talks or NPRs,
really?
things like that. Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've heard
That's
that.
awesome.
I mean, it's better than sleeping pills, I think.
Just don't
I've never
watch-
actually taken a sleeping pills. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I haven't either. Just don't watch the life hack TED Talks before bed because who knows what kind of dreams you'll have. But those are actually really interesting. I learned how to tie my shoe the right way.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, how do you tie your shoe the right way?
Well, it's
Am I doing it wrong all the time?
You might be doing it wrong. So when you tie your shoe, it usually ends up to where it's a side like that. So
Okay.
there's one side on the top of your foot and one at the bottom, and the bow is supposed to be on both sides of your feet. So you basically, instead of looping one way, you have to loop the other. Just try it. I don't know. It might work.
I might need a demonstration here sometime.
Next time we'll have shoes and twerk Tuesdays.
Shoes, how to tie your shoe and twerk Tuesday.
All right.
So what do we have coming up next?
We have Luis and his cross-country cyclist coming up next, which is amazing. And I once wanted to ride my bicycle just to Oklahoma from Kansas. That's not even that far.
Yeah, I've heard bike trips are so much fun. I
Yeah.
want to try one. I've
And-
never actually been on one, but
Yeah.
I'm too lazy.
Should be interesting. We'll see what he has to say.
My special guest is Jesse Bethel. Jesse did a cross-country trip from Kansas to Mexico last year. And good morning, Jesse.
Good morning, Miguel.
Thank you for being with us. And so, Jesse, if you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about your bike trip and what that was like.
I'd like to give a little background about my trip. I'm a Lawrence native, and but I've lived in quite a few different places. And about 3 years ago, I was living in Japan. My visa ran out, and so I decided, hey, I'll come back to Lawrence, save a little money, and go on a bike trip, on a bicycle trip. So I worked for a couple years, and then last November 4th, I left on a trip. My first day was in Pomona, and then I made it to the middle of Baja, California, 3,000 miles.
3,000 miles, and how long did that take you?
It took me 3 months total, although I did take a bus for part of that. So I was actually biking about 2.5 months.
Okay. And what were some of the highlights of the trip and some of the not so highlights of the trip?
The highlight, I'd say, the thing that I really bring back from it is I got on the couch surfing, and there's also a warm shower site for bicyclists. So I did some couch surfing with people I didn't know, but they were also travelers, and they just opened their house to me, and a lot of them would cook me dinner, or we'd go out. And I met some really great people with really interesting stories through that.
And what were some of the lows of the trip? Were there dangerous parts, or?
Yeah, one of the biggest problems I had was wind on my trip. And one time I was climbing the San Bernardino Mountains, which is about 5,000 feet of climb, and the wind was going about 30 miles an hour with gusts up to 50. So I'm going uphill with about 80 pounds of gear on my bike, trying to pedal up into the wind. And at one point the gust hit me and I fell off and got my foot stuck in between the pedal and the frame of the bike. And it's coming back on me, and I was afraid I was gonna lose my leg or something, but luckily I got out of it.
And the traffic, was that a issue, like having to look out for cars, or were people pretty attentive?
Most of the time I actually was on the interstate, and so I had a huge shoulder, a huge margin. It was unpleasant, but I didn't really feel too afraid most of the time. Most people, except for certain parts of New Mexico, most people were really nice. You know, give me a lot of leeway. It was great.
And this trip, was this something that you would do again?
I would do it, but I definitely do it differently.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. What would you do different?
I found that although I enjoyed biking, 3 months of biking and constantly looking for places to stay, and you know, trying to find my way all the time, that was a little much for me. So I think from now on I'll choose a point and kind of branch out from there, just a month at a time.
All right. And would you, I know that originally your trip was going to be to South America somewhere. Is that in the books? Is that a plan that you still have in mind?
Yeah, I definitely, I want to make it to Argentina. I'll take a plane next time. But to Argentina and Brazil, those were my original destinations, and I still really want to go there.
So what did you take away from this trip? What was the big lesson that you've learned from this?
You know, I think the biggest lesson is things are going to work out. Every day, you know, I was worried about finding a place or, you know, getting food in time before I crashed out or something like that. And in the end, it always worked out. I'm still here.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being with us today, Jesse. And thank you for being with us today. We have news next with Meghan and Maddie.
Hi, I'm Meghan and this is Maddie, and we're here to give you your news update. Consumers have purchased more than 9 million new iPhones and downloaded over 200 million copies of iOS 7. Apple reports that sales of the new 5C and 5S phones have broken the record set by the iPhone 5, which sold 4 million less than its first weekend. By the end of Monday, Apple's stock had risen by 4%.
If Congress doesn't pass a new spending bill in the next week, the federal government will shut down on October 1st. Essential personnel will continue to work, and nearly 60% of non-defense federal employees would be exempt from the shutdown, continuing to work as usual.
An earthquake in southwestern Pakistan claimed 2 lives on Tuesday. The 7.8 magnitude quake is the second large earthquake this year to affect Pakistan. Authorities are warning rescuers to be aware of expected aftershocks.
A Kansas Highway Patrol officer announced yesterday that charges will not be filed against a driver who killed a 29-year-old woman this past July. Haley Barrios was riding her bicycle east on Route 10 when she was struck by a vehicle driven by 67-year-old Walter Spencer. Eyewitness accounts state that Spencer drove through a green light and Barrios was at fault for crossing the intersection.
That's all for the news, and now we'll go to Stephanie with sports.
Freshman kicker Matthew Weinman lofted a 52-yard field goal with 2 seconds remaining to lead the Jayhawks to a 13-10 victory. This win marks Charlie Weiss's first Division I victory with the Jayhawks. And in other football news, Weiss announced yesterday that defensive lineman Marquel Combs will be transferring to another school. Combs did not play in any games this season. KU volleyball claimed the Kansas Invitational title this weekend, winning all 3 matches. Senior Aaron McNorton was named the MVP of the tournament, finishing the weekend with 130 assists. Caroline Jarmock and Sarah McClinton were also named to the all-tournament team. Tomorrow, the women play at home for a midweek exhibition game against the Italy under-23 team at 6:30 p.m. And the soccer team won 2-0 against Illinois State on Sunday. Head coach Mark Francis said the Redbirds were the best they played all year. The Jayhawks finished their non-conference on Friday at Santa Clara. That's all we have for Good Morning KU. I'm Stephanie.